Okay, so this is going to be Admin 101. I am taping it as always, but that shouldn't stop you from asking questions. And I just wanted to go through a lot of the common administrative items that people have asked me over the last couple of months, how to do certain things. And if I miss anything, let me know, but I'm going to try to go as quick as possible and just focus on sort of admin features for right now. So first and foremost, obviously, if you are signed in as an admin, the way you can always tell is you will have this drop down that other people won't have, and the ability to toggle for all or just one agent or obviously yourself. Relatively straightforward there. The next thing that I wanted to highlight is on managing users. So based on your licenses, how many licenses you have, how many you're utilizing, when you go to add a user, you want to set them up correctly. So I'm just going to go through these fields to make sure people are setting them up correctly. First and foremost, if you want this new user to have admin access also, you click the box. The next one, for allow viewing of other agents' trip data. This is because some agencies have elected an open model where everybody has access to everything, but yet not admin access, like the ability to create a new user, for instance. Other agencies have it so that they only want certain people to have access to everything. And some agencies have a closed model where only agents can see their own stuff. So by clicking this, you are empowering this user access to see trip level, reservation level activity of all the other agents in the system. Ability to duplicate. So I'll go to the duplicate removal utility in a bit. But if you want to give an agent or all your agents the ability to do duplicate removal, you can empower them by clicking this on their user setup. And I'll go into the duplicate removal tool in a bit. User ID, password, I hope people are relatively familiar with those fields. These fields are your TI, IATA number, CLIA number, or other number, not your name, since TI has the 3 fields to log in. VAX ID would be that numeric number that you use for VAX. And EGT, if you're enrolled with them, it would be whatever ID number or IATA number that you use with them. Agent commission percentage. This would be if it's an independent contractor or other that gets a fixed commission percentage on every sale. You have the ability to default it to whatever that commission level is. And then obviously on a transaction by transaction basis, you can override that commission. So if they're normally 50%, but on this one case, you're going to give them 75, in that individual reservation, you can override it. Lastly, this user sets up their own invoice. If you have an independent contractor or other that uses, for instance, a different brand with their own logo, or they want to customize their terms and conditions boilerplate at the end of their invoice, by clicking this button, you're empowering them to basically not use the agency preset, but to create their own. That's the customization that's available at the user level today, and I'm going to stop and take questions because that may encourage questions.
I'm good.
Awesome. I expected that to actually be something that was questions. I just wanted to go back. The one thing is, if you allow viewing other trips data, once you save them, you'll be able to then go back and select if it's all or just certain agents that this person has access to. So if it's an admin, let's say, that covers 4 people, you could give them access to just those 4 people, but not everybody else in the agency. Similarly, let's say one person is doing vacation coverage for somebody else. You could just temporarily give them access to just that one other person. And when that person's back from vacation, you could remove it. All right. I'm just going to jump around here. System settings. Pick the easy stuff first. You have the ability as an admin to customize things for your agency. So I'm just going to go through here. Number one, you have the ability to select any fields that you want to create in your search. So if you wanted to be able to search by zip code, for instance, you could save that. When you go to search, now you could search by zip code. It shouldn't say agency search, it should say zip, but you get my drift. And I'll report that should be changed. So if you want to do a search by zip code to do a mailer, you could do that, run the search, and you'll see the what's available. Select fields to display in the search grids. That's the information when you do a search, what shows up. You have the ability to customize some of that stuff, some of this information if you wanted to. Next is map related fields, which we'll get to. You don't really have to map a country, state to country, but a lot of times you're going to want to map a new supplier to which dropdown. So I'm going to get to in a little bit how to add a new supplier. But let's say for package, I wanted to ensure that Globus was adding up in my package. What I want to do is hold down the control button, select Globus, save, and then Globus would show up in all my package. If I wanted, I don't know, Trafalgar to show up in packaged, I hit control, hold it down, hit save, and that will now show up in my package. For transfers, if I wanted Amstar to show up, I would hit save, and now Amstar will show up in my transfers dropdown. Pretty simple. Okay, I've labeled this just for interest. In my database, instead of putting manual reservation, I put something that says something like, let me know if you need a new supplier. And I've added it to every one of my dropdowns. So let's say I have an agent that booked a new supplier that we don't have in our system. Rather than having to stop and email me or call me to add it, and I might not get to it till tomorrow, I have them select this one. So when I see it, I know that there's something I need to do there. So I have that in my system as part of every single dropdown, and it's at the top, so it's always there.
So once you add it, and then you change
Yeah, and then so let's say they booked a Avanti, and Avanti wasn't in my system. I would have them select that one, and then I would email them, or they would email me saying, hey, I just booked a new supplier. And then I would go and add that new supplier, which I'll show you in a second how to do, map it to whatever dropdown I want to map to, and then go and edit that reservation so that it shows the right supplier. So when I do a report by supplier, I don't have anything showing up in this, what I call catch-all, BS, dropdown. It also is good for me. So when I do a report by supplier, if I see anything that's in there, revenue-wise, then I know I have to go back and probably edit whatever that was to put the correct supplier in there. Because I personally, in my agency anyhow, don't want anything just with unknown, because I don't know how to get paid on that or track it. So even if like we booked a hotel direct, and maybe it's the only time we'll ever use them ever, I'm still putting it in my dropdown and tracking it so that I have it there for the next time.
Right. And basically, I guess you could really, that when they build their reservation, you could just look in their reservation and kind of figure out who they're, because I guess if it's a hotel, they'll put the name.
Yeah, and I agree. 90% I could figure it out myself. I probably had about 10% where, like, somebody did a Peru booking with a supplier that was an ensemble supplier that I never heard of. right? I couldn't figure it out from the actual reservation itself and had to email the agent to find out. But yes, I agree with you. You should be able to find that out. Questions on mapping, and I'll get to how to create in a second. All right, nothing with mapping. The last thing here is just dashboard message. You have the ability to put in anything you want in this, and it will show up on everybody's dashboard in the notice section. So if it's remember to do something, or today's sale is this, or submit your timesheet, or whatever, rather than mass emailing, you could put things here. Some of the things we've put is like group codes, discount codes, promo codes, reminders. You have basically, as an admin, control over what you want to put. And you control the order that they're in, etc. That's the system settings, the user settings we got to. The manage codes is the one thing we didn't. So if we want to just practice managing a code, you have the ability to add things to any drop down, any code. So if you want to add things to a certain field, you could do that and have it show up in your drop downs. So if I want to do a supplier, I give it a test. Now that's going to show up in my suppliers as test. And if I want that to go now and be mapped to my drop downs, I go to, map related fields, Mac package, and let's say that's a train. Yep, let's see what word I did wrong here. Supplier reservation screen. Added the wrong section. Test. Settings. System settings. Map. Train. Test. Save. So you want to, obviously what I did wrong there was I selected the wrong drop down, but for suppliers you want it to be on the reservation screen if you're talking about supplier reservations. If you, for instance, didn't like our titles, in addition to Mr., Dr., Mrs., and you had others, you could add your own drop downs to titles. You could add your own drop downs to reservation types. You could add your own marketing codes. You could add your own hotel chains. Anything that's here, you can go and see what's there, and then you could go and add your own code if one of the ones is there that you don't have. So if you wanted to add, I'm drawing a blank, Marriott, you could add Marriott, and now that's going to show up as a hotel chain on the drop down for hotel chains. So I find myself like once a week having to add something. Obviously, we've been doing this for a year now. If somebody's new, you probably have to add a whole bunch when you get started if your business mix is different than what was preloaded. All right, the last thing here, which we had skipped on, was system settings. So this is where, when you set up for the first time, we've got some standard language in here. You have the ability to customize your invoice disclaimer. If you want a logo in the upper left or in the footer, you have the ability to change your final payment reminder template. So if you don't like the wording, you could change it. The birthday email and template, and then soon you'll have a bunch of other templates, and we're going to reformat how this page looks. But we'll have an anniversary email template, a "you're going on a trip soon" template, a "welcome back" template, and we're going to build out a whole bunch of templates and make this this screen a little easier to use. In addition to this page, if you want to be PCI compliant and not store credit cards anywhere in the system, by clicking this, it won't allow you to do that, and you can enforce that through all of your agents. That's at the agency level. And then the last thing is, for those people who have built or are building an API, every database has its own code, and this is where it can be found. The most up-to-date API documentation link is always going to be here also. So we're going to reformat how this system settings page looks, because we'll probably have a specific page for email templates, one for invoice templates, and one for other stuff as we move forward with the next release. So we did manage codes, the ability to change any drop-downs. So if you want to add, you know, anything to do with, you know, trying to think what else I'm doing, marketing codes, you know, there really are none. Anything in here that has the ability, you have the ability to update. The other thing that a couple of you have asked about is how do you edit things? So you have the ability, if you want, to edit fields and edit sections. So for instance, you go to Twitter and you don't want Twitter to show up because you really could care less about Twitter. You have the ability to go here and say you don't want to display Twitter any longer and hide Twitter from being on your profile. It's still going to show up as a field. It's just not going to show up now if I go to a new profile. Twitter now is missing after Facebook. If you wanted to add a field, like I'm trying to think what somebody added. We added passport expiration date. We've added passport number. Any fields that you want to add, you could quickly go and add a new field. You could say what type of field it is, how big it is, which section you want that information to go in. So if you wanted to go in your preferences section or your loyalty or just your profile, what mouse over text you want, where you want it on the display, and I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm just going to guess 14. I want it on a new line. I want it displayed. I don't want it required. I don't want it on my quick profile form. You have the ability to add things or remove things from that, or on your group form. And I could see where that is now. So I put it as number 14, which is right there. Let's say I don't want it there, and I instead want to put it next to my passport expiration down here. I could go and add it, let's say at number 24. It's here, and I can continue to sort of move it, and by putting a really high number, you'll put it down at the bottom, and of course why is that not taken? Of course, when you give demos, it doesn't. But you can move your passport here. It's now at the end, number 36. So if I go to a new profile, it's really funny. I'll have to play around. Oh, that's because that's the old one I had. Here's the new one I just created, passport number. I was looking at the wrong field. It's what happens when you create the same field in a demo environment 5 times. So that's the one I just created. It's down at the bottom. So if you want to create new fields, you can create them here. You could create them in the address fields. I don't know why, but you could create them in your credit cards. You could create them in loyalties, or all of these preferences are customizable. You could remove them all if you don't use them, or you can completely customize them for you. So this person likes, beach versus pool, or aisle versus window, or high floor, low floor. You can completely customize any of the preferences that you want by going to edit your fields and going to where they are on your section. So here's my preferences section. There are the questions that were there. Let's say I didn't care about if they like sandals, and I want to say aisle or window. And you could update it accordingly. So now here's aisle or window. Obviously, yes or no wouldn't be the right answer. Questions on custom fields, moving things around. You have the ability to add those fields basically on any of the sections as part of your profile, as part of a trip, as part of a reservation. You have the ability, if you wanted to add it to the payment, you could even add it to, a custom note for payment. Like if you wanted to write, whose credit card was used and have it show up, you could do that too. You have complete ability to customize from what we've created as the norm. Any questions on custom fields?
Nope.
Anybody else there other than Grace? All right. So last thing, I'll go quickly.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, good. I like it. Next thing is duplicate maintenance. So what we've done is we a lot of people have garbage data in their system where they moved it from somewhere else, where they uploaded from Excel, where they're just entering things in without looking to see if somebody's already in the system. So what we've done is we've created a duplicate maintenance model where you can determine which criteria you want to match, and you could control what shows up. So I'm just going to do this because there's not a lot of data in here. Anybody with the same last name of 2 characters, and let's say the same first name with 1 character, I'm going to do a compare. So what showed up is now these 2 contacts showed up, and it will say, do you want to combine them? In this case, I can quickly look and see that these are 2 separate people that just shared the same first letter of their first name and last 2 letters of their last name. So I probably would not want to merge these people. Next, I could look here. Are these the same? Nope, they're not. I don't want to merge these people. Look at these people. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to merge these people because they're really the same, and I just had a typo over here. I could click the merge profile, and it's going to show me who created it, when it was created, how many trips they're on, a list of their trips, any relationships that they have, any information so that I know which is the right information and which is the wrong, or which is more current and which is older. If I want to merge, I can merge right to left, meaning all the data here would go into here. It would not update this, so test 2 would be the surviving name. But in this case, for instance, this person didn't go on any trips where this person has, so that trip would move over. So this is the person that would live, but anywhere where there's a gap, this would refresh that gap. If I move this way, in this case, there's nothing here that isn't here, so this person would basically just disappear. And it would basically combine the 2. So if this person had 2 trips and this person had 2 trips and they were different, by merging them it would create 4 trips. If this person had 5 relationships and this person had 3 relationships, combining them would bring 8 relationships together, assuming they're 8 unique relationships. If, let's say, this had 5 and this had 2, but these 2 were already part of that 5, then at the end it would just be the 5. So
But if that one had one that was different,
then it would be 6.
and the extra person.
Exactly. So I find myself running this like once a week for my agency, just to clean up any dupes that might have occurred that week. When I started, I had hundreds. Very honestly, most weeks I have 1 or 0. Some weeks I might have 3. When I have a dupe, generally I'm finding now it's one family that was, or like I just had one, a spouse got married and finally changed her passport name. So it didn't catch it when I added her as a new profile so I merged the 2 together. The other times I'm seeing it is those people with APIs. When you get an API in, it's not doing a dupe check right there. So let's say you're in the system and somebody goes and submits a payment, it won't know that it's the same person, so it may add it as a dupe if the information is different. So once you clean it up the first time, I'm finding it's very minimal to maintain it going forward. But as I already showed you, if you want that utility to be available for other people other than just an admin, you can give that access to other people to assist you with the dupe management. For me, I find myself just doing it myself on a weekly basis. But we've created it both ways because we know some agencies want to push that down to their agents to manage their own. All right, that's duplicate maintenance. I mean, the only other thing I'm going to quickly go through is we've gotten a lot of questions recently on the Facebook page about reports. So I'm just going to go through what I seem to be using more than anything else. I find myself using this first report every single minute of every single day. I mean, it's almost always, I probably use it 3 times a day. And I run it this way with the highest ID number at the top. And I use this as a way to see what new bookings my agency's made that day. It will show up as the top row. And I find myself every 15 minutes or, every 5 hours just refreshing to see what came in. So sometimes it comes in and I could see it's a waiting deposit. And, maybe I know I have a group that same week that I may have contracted rates that they may not have looked to see. Or I may have a groups your way or groups on the go code that they might have been able to take advantage of that they weren't aware of. Or they booked a hotel that construction is going on. I wanted to make sure the agent knew about it. So I find myself once or twice a day checking to see what new came in using that first report. The second report that we're all using left and right is, I hope, the groups reports. And as you can tell, based on customer feedback, we've removed the date range. So now when you do a report on a group, it's going to show everything regardless of the dates. So I can now run those group reports and not have to go select my dates first. So hopefully people are now, when they run them, they're getting the complete list and not incomplete lists. When people are doing reviews with agents, obviously you can do revenue by agent reports. I find myself, running this both on a booking date time period. So if I want to see what an agent booked on a month, I can do it for a month. If I want to see what they have traveled coming for the next, if I want to see an annual report, I could set this and do an annual report and see what their bookings are trending to be for the year. And it's going to show it per agent, and then you could click on and actually get the detail underneath what makes up that report.
Can you add vendor or supplier or something to that report?
Well, it's in here at the second level. You can, what you want to run, if you want by supplier, you would run the supplier report, and then you could run it agent by agent. Well,
But you couldn't run all agents at once.
well, if you think about how the reports are constructed, it would just be a humongous sort of suppliers down the side with agents across the top, depending on the size of your agency, would be humongous. So you can get at it two different ways, or you can do what I sometimes do, which is run the top report, and then you could sort and filter. So you could run, if you wanted to run by agent, and let's say only on 3 different hotel chains, you could run that report to show what your revenue, what your by only by certain hotels, only by certain suppliers, or only by certain agents. But we sort of need something to start the canned reports by, at least from the starting process. Go ahead.
Somewhat related question, although we might have already passed this vote. So, frequently, with a number of our, mainly hotel chains, they offer bonus commissions. But in order to obtain those bonus commissions, you have to register your booking. So, is there a way to, how would you do that? Or how are you doing that, tracking whether the commissions have been entered, the bonus commissions have been entered?
So you could track it 2 different ways, and I'll explain how I'm doing it. So the first thing is me, and maybe not the best example. I'm using this report. The minute I see, oh, the Royal Cancun, there's bonus commission available there. Before, I used to email my agent and say, remember to register. But I never would know if they actually registered or not. Or I would register for them, or I would keep it myself. One way that we're doing now is by clicking right into that reservation, I could add a reminder for that agent to say bonus commission, save, done. When they actually register it, they have to click submit, so I know that it's done and they did it. Similarly for couples, sandals, charisma, I mean, anybody else, you know, if you want, again, some agencies do it themselves, some agencies are having their agents do it, whatever the mix, I find myself using reminders as the mechanism to do that. And I'm generally not clicking here, but I'm generally opening it in a new window to create that reminder. This way, when I close that window, I'm back on this page. You know, Hard Rock, we got to register that, so we get to go to their new event. I want to make sure that they do that. I'm adding a reminder, bonus commit, you know, register bonus commission, giving them a date, tell them to do it, and hit save. Then I can manage on my dashboard, did they actually remember to click it or not? If you're already behind the game, the way to do it is, very honestly, you've got this hotel chain report. So if I do, you know, and I don't have hotel chains set up in this demo environment, but when your hotel chains, let's hold on a second. I might actually be able to, but you can do a report of all of your, so let's select, Hyatt Playa. Now that should show up in that report. So I could do, just show me all my Hyatt Playa for travel dates. I don't remember when that was traveling. So there's my list of all my Hyatt Playas. So I could go through here and do a report, and then I could go on their website and see, do they match? And you could do that again. Every agent can do it for themselves. You as an admin, you could do it for agent by agent or for the entire agency. Yeah, this bookings by agent report, I mean, it's not really bookings by agent. It's really just all your bookings. And then you have the ability to filter based on date, based on chain, or if you use that report, based on supplier. And of course, nothing shows up because of the info that's in this garbage database.
We've touched on reminders, but along those lines, is there a way to set, or maybe it's already in there and I just haven't noticed, to set, for example, a final travel documents reminder or something that, just shortly before they travel, that you make sure that you touch each guest or each client?
There is no automatic creation of reminders in the system. It's on the future list. But that's what this dashboard was all about. Right? Looking to see who's coming on a regular basis. Soon we'll have the email button right here that says, click here and it will give you a template email to send to Dennis to remind him, have an amazing trip, bring your passport or whatever other information you sent before they go. And then similarly on the welcome back, currently away, on their name, there'll be that same box that says, welcome back, hope you had a great time, whatever, and that will be generated right from the thing next to their name here. Every time you see a name, you'll see an email icon. I think that's in the next release. So you'll see one on payments due, which is already there. Upcoming travel, which you'll have, definitely. Currently away, you'll have. Recently modified, you'll have. Birthdays, you already have. And anniversaries, there will be one. So that's how I'm doing it right now. I'm going through this list always and making sure that I've emailed every single person that's going away. But there is no way to automatically put that up as a reminder. We do have 1 or 2 agents who are manually doing that at time of booking. They're going and creating 5 reminders for themselves. Remember to pre-register. Remember to send, email to resort. Remember to this. Remember to that. Remember, so it's always in their reminders. Personally, I'm using the dashboard to do that for me. And every morning I go in and hit my final payments that are coming up, remembering to do this and remembering to send my birthdays. All right. But yes, that automatic reminder creation is something that other people have requested. Other admin questions that I didn't get to? Okay, other report questions. The only other 2, which I think we covered in the last session, was just the commission reporting for pending and paid.
Good with all that.
Excuse me?
I'm good with all that.
Okay, anybody else need a quick review there? Are we good? I'll take silence. I'll take silence for good then. I'm going to have to start doing these in the morning if people are asleep by the afternoon. All right. Thanks everyone for their time.